Hello, today is Thursday, May 14th, 2026. So this week is almost over. This week was quite hectic for me because I have to shoulder my colleague's workload because he was transferred to a different upper level department, and that means I have to put in a lot of work. Yesterday, I put in like 2 more hours of my private time to work for Korea Telecom, KT, my employer, right? I appreciate my employer's care, high salary for me, and arrangement for flexible working times, and so on. So I appreciate my company's enormous support and help, of course, financial help, my pay. So this month my pay comes around on the 25th, but since 25th is a Sunday, I think we will get paid on 22nd next week, right? Next week. 15th, yeah, next Friday. So I'm happy about that. Once I have money left, I will continue to buy some stock like LG Electronics. I have Samsung Electronics and SK Hynix stocks, but they are quite expensive, so I myself cannot afford to buy them. Right? Well, let's start off by reading an English article. Right? Let's start off the day. Ramen. In Korea, you cannot live without ramen, right? This article is from CNN Travel, K everything. K here means Korea, right? K-pop, K-food, K-IT. I work for Korea Telecom, the #1 carrier in Korea. We call our company KT. And if you want to establish yourself or you are already established in Korea, please contact me so that I could provide a free consultation on KT services. That's my job inside my KT. I just guide our customers through KT services throughout their life cycle, or throughout our service life cycle. And also foreigners, English teachers and foreign companies operating in Korea, they all come to me. I'm just like Trump, right? China. I'm doing a great job, and they all agree to come to me, and they cannot live without me, right? Well, I'm just joking. This article was supported by Hyundai. I have Hyundai stocks too. Hyundai Motors. Robots and ramen inside the South Korea's largest instant noodle factory, Nongshim, right? But I like a Jin ramen too. There are like 5 or 6 ramen manufacturers in Korea, and the largest is Nongshim, followed by Samyang, and followed by otugi, right? I don't know the word for otugi in Korea, but it's something that you push, but it just comes back or springs back again because the weight is on the way below the mass point of mass, right? There gotta be a word for that, like recovering balance. Not sure. Updated May 12th, 2026 by Rebecca Cairns. Shin Ramyeon in production at the Nongshim factory in Gumi, South Korea on January 26th, 2026. Editor's note, K Everything, a CNN original series, is hosted by Daniel Dae Kim and explores the global impact of South Korean culture You can now watch the series on CNN International, CNN All Access, and HBO Max. So HBO has something to do with CNN? Not sure. Gumi, South Korea. On the floor of Nongshim's noodle factory in the city of Gumi, but actually we pronounce it Gumi, there's an industrial symphony playing out. The grinding of wheat flour and rattle of rollers gives way to the rhythmic swish of blades on dough. Ribbons of fresh noodles are steamed with hits, flash fried with a crackle, then whisked away in the blink of an eye on an ever-humming conveyor belt and packaged into crinkling plastic. What is crinkling? Crinkle, right? Wrinkle or clinking, not sure, crinkling plastic. So I will look up that word later. Every minute, 600 packs of ramen, Korean instant noodles, also known as ramyeon and ramen, roll off the highly automated, ultra-fast production lines into boxes carried to the loading bay by robots. This 42,266 square meter or 9,947 square feet facility is South Korea's largest instant noodle factory, churning out 6 million packets per day. Wow, 6 million packets. That's amazing, man. Me as a Korean, that's amazing. Amazing feat. Streaming now, K Everything, a CNN original series, is hosted by Daniel Dae Kim and explores the global impact of South Korean culture. Stream the series on the CNN app in the US. K Everything. So he's a Daeyeon, right? K Everything. He's less handsome than me, and maybe he is of my age. Last year, we produced 1.23 billion units worth 884 billion won or $598 million, says factory manager Sang-hoon Kim. The Gumi plant makes 80% of the Shin Ramyeon and 90% of the Chapaghetti, thick and chewy spaghetti-like noodles with black soybean paste, sold domestically with just 600 staff. That's made possible by a suite of AI-enhanced sensors and smart cameras that monitor every point of production, ensuring safety and quality, says Kim. Adding that technology is developed in-house by staff that have extensive knowledge of ramen making. That's good. Shin Ramyeon. Shin here means spicy. In Chinese word 辣,更辣,不为辣,更辣,杜辣辣的太阳. Shin Ramyeon in production at the Nongshim factory in Gumi, South Korea on January 26, 2026. Shin Ramyeon in production at the Nongshim factory in Gumi, South Korea on January 26, 2026. Catherine Phillips, CNN. But in Gumi, ramen is more than just the food. The factory and its products have become the city's cultural anchor, right? That's another good term, cultural anchor. Am I a cultural anchor inside my office? Are you? Cultural anchor. Ramyeon City, around 270 kilometers or 168 miles southeast of South Korea's capital. Gumi is a mid-tier city with roughly 400,000 residents and a long history as an industrial hub, first known for textiles, then electronics, and today as the country's largest communications technology center. That's true. Samsung Electronics, LG Electronics, and other mid-sized electronic and communication companies, electronics and communications companies are there, right? They all manufacture and research electronic stuff. Now Samsung Gumi plant, Nongshim Gumi plant, that's new to me. Around 270 kilometers or 168 miles southeast of South Korea's capital. Gumi, it is not usually frequented by tourists, but that's changing, right? Here's another good expression, man. This one. It's not usually frequented by tourists, but that's changing. It's not usually frequented by tourists, but that's changing. In 2022, Gumi put the spotlight on its noodle production, launching the inaugural Ramen Festival the same year. That's a good idea, man. That's a good idea. For example, in Gwangju, there's no noticeable festival except that drink and eat festival, Chungjang festival in October. So they should implement Kim Hwang-seok, Kim Jong-ho Hayan Nabi festival, or kimchi food festival, right? Not kimchi making festival. And maybe Kuksu festival in Tamyang instead of ramen festival. That's creativity, man, right there. In 2022, Gumi put the spotlight on its noodle production, launching the inaugural Ramen Festival the same year. Gumi Ramen Festival in 2025. Gumi Ramen Festival in 2025. That's automatic ramen. The goal, says Jung Tae-kim, a senior official at Gumi City Hall and the lead festival organizer, was to transform Gumi's reputation as a boring industrial city into a fun destination for residents and tourists alike. That's a good idea. That's a good concept. As an industrial city, we needed a cultural identity, says Jung Tae-kim. The city hall approached Nongshim, and it partnered with the council on the festival, which has grown every year. From just 10,000 visitors in its first edition to a record 350,000 in 2025, selling 54 bowls and 480,000 packets of ramen across the 3-day event. The festival's highlight is a 475-meter or 1,558-foot pedestrianized strip of vendors that the organizer referred to as the world's largest ramen restaurant. Here, dozens of restaurants and chefs serve up ramen and ramen-inspired dishes, from ramen sandwiches, wow, they have ramen sandwiches, to asado smoked pork noodle soup. I'm not sure what the asado is. Sounds like a Japanese. Gumi Ramen Festival in 2025. Vendors are provided with noodles from the Nongshim factory. Freshly fried ramen is incredibly delicious, says factory manager Sang-hoon Kim, adding that seeing tourists pour into Gumi has given us a great sense of pride. That's good cliche. Seeing tourists pouring into Gumi has given us a great sense of pride. Seeing tourists pour into Gumi has given us a great sense of pride. That's creativity, man. On festival weekends, train tickets from the nearby city of Daegu sell out, and local vendors report a surge of sales, says Jung Tae-kim. The challenge now, he says, is stretching the benefits beyond a single weekend. Necessity to national icon. Instant noodles came to South Korea in the 1960s when the nation was still recovering from the Korean War. There were food shortages and the country's staple rice was limited. So people began making noodles with wheat flour provided by the US Army, which was actively promoted by the government in the 1960s. Yeah, I was born in 1968. In 1970s, I was introduced to ramen by my parents. My first taste, if I remember, was very fantastic, amazing, they just blew my mind. Samyang foods, yeah, Samyang food was number one then. I really liked the Samyang food, but not now. Samyang Foods, the brand behind the fiery hot bulldog ramen, became Korea's first instant noodle manufacturer in 1963, taking inspiration from the Japanese style of instant noodles developed by Nissin founder Momofuku Ando in 1958, but adapted for Korean tastes. The chicken broth was switched to beef, and red chili was added. Nongshim followed in 1965 with other domestic brands like Paldo and Otugi. Yeah, Otugi is the stuff that springs back when you push it to the ground, launching in the 1980s. Factory manager Sang-hoon Kim has worked at Dongshim's Gumi manufacturing plant for over 30 years. Sang-hoon Kim remembers when Shin Ramyeon was launched in 1986 while he was still in college, filling and cheap. It cost 200 won or 20 cents. It was the perfect student meal. I ate a ton of it. I would buy boxes of it, recalls Sang-hoon Kim. The most I ever ate in a day was 10 packs. The most I ever ate in a day for me was 6 packs, right? I was a high school student, freshman, and I was damn hungry because I skipped breakfast. I went to high school, but I didn't bring my lunch. Currently, all students are provided a free meal at a school cafeteria, but back then, when I was a high school student, only a small convenience store, no restaurants available. So I basically skipped lunch and I just drank water. So when you get back home around 10 p.m., because we still had to study until like 9, you get damn hungry. So I just put in 6 packs of ramen and I ate them in one bowl, and I feel sorry about that for myself. Yeah, that's sad. The most I ever ate in a day was 10 packs. After graduating, he got a job with Nongshim in his hometown Busan and moved to Gumi with the company in 1992, working his way up from the production line to management. 3 decades on, he's not tired of it. Even though he samples the ramen produced at the factory daily on holidays, I'll even cook it at home and eat it again, he says. Wow, he's hooked, addicted. In other words, he's a professional, right? He's an employee of the month. Sang-hoon Kim is not alone in his love of ramen. In 2025, Koreans ate more than 4 billion servings of instant noodles, or roughly 77 bowls per person each year, according to the World Instant Noodle Association. Yeah. For me, I think I eat like 1 packet of ramen each month. So I think maybe 10 or 12 ramen packets yearly, because I determined to cut down on the flour consumption due to my severe eczema or atopic dermatitis, which is almost like 90% gone now. Going global, ramen's popularity is soaring globally too. Korea's instant noodle exports grew 22% in 2025, worth a record $1.5 billion. Pop culture moments, like the ramdon scene in Parasite or the noodle slurping moment in K-pop Demon Hunters, have boosted awareness among international consumers about Korean ramen. Although Jinny Seo, Nongshim's global head of marketing, says 3 moments reflect decades-long campaigns to promote it to a wide market. When they aren't selling out stadiums, K-pop superstars Rumi, Mira, and Zoe use their secret identities as badass demon hunters to protect their fans from an ever-present supernatural threat. These moments have become a catalyst to further expand their consumer base, she says. For example, Nongshim collaborated with Netflix on a line of K-pop Demon Hunter noodle flavors inspired by the film's characters. While Nongshim dominates the domestic market, competitor Samyang overtook it in overseas sales in 2024. We are in a situation where buyers in places like Europe are demanding more products, but we can't deliver, says Seo. To meet this demand, Nongshim is building the 191.8 billion won or $130 million Noksan export-only factory in Busan, expected to produce 500 million ramen units annually and nearly double the company's current domestic exports when it opens later this year. Wow, that's amazing. I should look for job opportunities with Nongshim or Samyang, right? I have to retire in 2 years' time from Korea Telecom or KT. I'm one of the valued employees of KT, and I speak good Chinese, and also I speak good fluent English. I have no problem. I taught like 14 engineers for more than 200 hours. I wrote or I authored 6 textbooks for teaching foreign engineers regarding outside plant and marketing, and also about transmission technology and circuit management, right? Will this shake Gumi's title as Korea's home of ramen? Sa doesn't think so. Gumi, with its huge output of Shin Ramyeon, is the core of Nongshim production. Sang Kim isn't worried either. Much of the state-of-the-art technology being installed in the Busan hub has been developed and tested in Gumi, helping to spread the city's influence even further afield. The name of the person who packed the noodles appears beneath the expiry date on a packet of Shin Ramyeon at the Nongshim factory in Gumi, South Korea on January 26, 2026. So it's 7 months good to eat, right? Behind the intense automation, every product retains a small human touch. Sang Kim picks up a packet of Shin Ramyeon and points to 3 characters beneath the best before date. Yeah, this one. The best before date. It's the name of the person who packed the noodles. Now, they print the name of the person doing the packaging, says Kim. But back when I was a field manager, my name was printed out on it. If 500 million Shin Ramyeon units were sold, it felt like everyone in the country knew my name. Really? Kim Sang-ho, right? Kim Sang-hun. Jung Ga-young. Okay. Not bad, man. Not bad. Additional reporting by Erica Huang. So basically, ramyeon is quite a good, important staple in Korea. And Nongshim is building a huge complex in Busan to produce more that is targeted for the European market. And Samyang Ramyeon introduced a hit ramen called buldak. And what else? That's the story. But from this article, I learned several expressions like the best before date and around 300 kilometers southeast of Seoul, Gumi, right? That phrase is just perfect phrase. And there was one word that I could not understand. Ramen was introduced in 1960s. But before I close this article, let's go back and see the best before date afield. The influence even further afield. Seeing tourists pour into the city gives us a sense of great pride. Seeing tourists pour into Gumi has given us a great sense of pride. It's not usually frequented by tourists, but that's changing. It's not usually frequented by tourists, but that's changing. Around 270 kilometers or 168 miles southeast of South Korea's capital, cultural anchor, crinkling plastic. So we go back and look for crinkling, crease, wrinkle, rustling sound, crinkle, crease, rumple, wrinkle, make a rustling sound. Crinkle, crinkle, crinkling sound. This kind of sound, right? The creasing sound when you crush your plastic bags, right? Thanks for listening. Have a great Thursday. Bye bye.